made history. But when we come back, they're getting it right. And they're getting it right for one reason. I'll explain coming up on CBS Sports Radio. Put them up!
It's your last chance to shop SpringFest savings at Lowe's. Need a new appliance? Get an additional $300 off select major kitchen appliances when you spend $1,996 or more. You can also save across the entire store, including our garden area, and get 2 Bonnie 9-pack vegetables for $10. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 5/3. Bonnie offer in-store only and excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. While supplies last, exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details.
If you're 19 or older with certain underlying medical conditions such as asthma or diabetes, you can get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can disrupt your life for weeks. If you're 65 or older, it is also recommended you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. No matter the season, talk to your doctor about vaccination today and learn more at lung.org/protect yourself. A message from the American Lung Association in collaboration with Pfizer.
Furnished by the American Lung Association.
Have over $10,000 in credit card debt? The stress of credit card debt can ruin your life. Collection calls, sleepless nights. If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. DebtBlue uses secret programs that most credit card companies won't.
General contractors, business owners, property owners. The success of your business requires doing business with the right people. And the right people, when it comes to drywall, acoustical ceilings, and specialty products, are at Premier Drywall. Kevin and his crew will give your project the response and attention it deserves.
You'll get all of the attention to detail and quality that you would expect from someone who's been in the business for 30 years. For your build-outs or renovations, reach out to Kevin. Kevin at PremierDW.com. Premier Drywall in Lincoln.
On the block with Rick and Austin. From recruiting to what you saw on the field, what you heard in post game, what grade do you give the spring game weekend?
It's an A. It really is an A. I don't think Nebraska football has been in this good position trajectory-wise for a long time. I really feel like that's a strong statement that I feel like that's
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was going crazy. I'm so excited. I just texted all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away and I never distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We share at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. On July 16th, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is transitioning to 988. There is hope. For 24/7 support, call, text, or chat 988.
Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association station.
Are you a veteran looking for a new companion animal, a dog, a cat, or maybe something else? The Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs Vets Get Pets program can cover up to $350 of your pet adoption fees. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov. Vets Get Pets. Learn more about program requirements and how to apply. Want to help support the program? Get your Vets Get Pets specialty license plates from the Nebraska DMV. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's will focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit
StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
Their age?
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Bank Strong, and the Ad Council.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours, 9 minutes after the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jackmick. I served in the United States Air Force in 2017. I was serving as an Air Force. Our motto and goal is my job to people. Unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jackmick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only but from my family. Or all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
And the Ad Council. They are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Daddy's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at ticketfm.com. KNTK-FM Fern 93.7 The Ticket. This is Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools on 90 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, welcome to Sunday. I think it's April 30th on 97 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson with Peter Ferguson VHS LLC at Lincoln Public Schools, and Harrison's here this morning. How you doing?
Not too bad. I think we're done with the cold. I think we're finally done. It's nice. I don't have to worry about starting my car anymore. It's been good. Had the draft yesterday. Yeah. I'm feeling pretty good as a Bears fan. I think Cowboys probably did all right. They didn't have as many picks to kind of go by, but I think overall, I always kind of laugh looking at the grades. You ever look at those draft grades at the end?
Yeah, I was looking. They got the Cowboys doing pretty good. Bears just kept going. I mean, I was just like, okay. We talked about it a little bit earlier, doing kind of leapfrogging people, and just like pick after pick, and then I know there was some heartbreak with I won't say a trade, but with the Detroit, I saw online the jerseys that DP got. AD and I believe Nick, they had to do a swap. That lasted about 3 months.
Yeah. And again, we're going to have full show going all the way up until 9 o'clock. So if you guys want to watch, we're all streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And you can join in on the Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. You can join the show that way. And Allo channel 951. So again, there's tons of ways to reach us, and we got a few people watching on stream already. And again, you guys can chime in any way you want to. But were you able to watch the whole draft, or just bits and pieces?
I got bits and pieces of it. I kind of had my alarm set on when the Cowboys came up to pick and everything, and so really liked their draft, like their first pick. But also I think the tight end from Michigan was the one that I was really excited about. A nice little release valve for Dak, and still need some help in the backfield. I think that's going to be, for me, the biggest thing right there is just, how do they fill kind of Zeke's void? Kind of maybe a short down back. I think Pollard looks like he's getting healthy, but more of a short down back to kind of get those 3-5 goal line stance type runs.
Yeah, it seems like Pollard's going to be their workhorse, but I'm not sure who they're going to get back. I'd imagine that's someone they could probably just pick up free agency or just sign someone real quick, because he's not going to, like you said, he's going to be just 5 yards at a time. He's just going to be your grinder. But the Cowboys, I'm curious as well. I kind of just feel like the Cowboys have been in purgatory forever. Like you're good enough to get to the playoffs. You can't. It's a weird spot. You see it a lot in the NBA too. These teams that they're not bad enough to get the good picks, but they're not good enough to win it all. Right. And then it's just year after year, you're just in this bubble. it's kind of dangerous. I
Well,
don't know how you get out of it.
you don't want to do a Herschel Walker, sell the farm,
Yeah.
like do that complete revamp and overhaul. So I'm a little worried about that, but it was cool. Kansas City looked neat. I kind of flipped the coin a little bit about going down there, but having something like that in this area, I mean, that's as close as we'll probably ever get. So know some people that went down and experienced that, said it was a well-run, well-set-up thing. Everything was free. So you could get into this,
seriously?
you could get into the space, and the concerts and everything was free. And so down there at that Union Station area. So, I just think, for the Midwest to have that in that space, and I know it could be in Minnesota or whatever else, but in Kansas City, that was kind of a neat deal in itself.
Yeah, how many people? Do you know what the number was? I saw some pictures and it was insane. Like, if it definitely made Kansas City look like the football state, football city. Like, it was packed.
Thursday and Friday looked pretty packed. Yesterday was kind of a little bit sporadic, but the weather was nice. So you saw people with kind of t-shirts on and shorts, and so thought that was cool. So again, congratulations to Kansas City. Look forward to kind of the upcoming football season. Know a lot of things are happening kind of with spring and spring activities, whether it be sports. I know they had the state journalism contest earlier this week, and then also I want to give a shout out to Lincoln Northwest. They had their mental health awareness game. I had a couple of players last week that talked about that, and so got some beautiful weather, and they did that over at Dan Hartog Field against Lincoln High, and Northwest, both JV and varsity, got the wins on that. But more importantly, did a really nice just showcase of just something that, again, we talk about, it's bigger than the score, by having some administrators that have been impacted by mental health. They had unique special jerseys that the JV wore in the dugout while the varsity played, and then the varsity wore to support during the JV game. Gave out wristbands and everything, and so just an important cause. Both Hope schools from both schools came out and supported. So again, well done to Lincoln Northwest High School and Lincoln High for just kind of collaborating on that to bring awareness to something. And again, if you need help, I think they talked about it last week. Call somebody, talk to somebody. There's the suicide reach line 988 number. That somebody's always staffed. So, again, we'd be remiss if we didn't say that. There's people out there that help, and you're better being here. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, I'm glad that went off well too, because I mean, I'd say at this point it's pretty well known. Like, anxiety is a problem in the U.S. and it seems to be getting worse too, especially with the youth, even older people as well. But it's definitely affecting kids. So I kind of, Pete, I'll ask you this question. With that anxiety, what are some of the things you do see some of the student athletes, with your background that really helps, some of these younger kids get through just really anxious times? I mean, social media is a big part of it, pressure, college, all that stuff combines into one. But like, kind of what are some of those things that you see, some of the staff doing to help out, like, anxiety, the problem we're seeing anxiety?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, we always talk, for me, it's been relationships matter. That has just been for a huge platform. But it's not about my age. We said it's not about what you say. It's what you say. It's not about what you say. It's not about what you do. It's how you make somebody feel. And so, I think it's just internally, whether it's parents, whether it's peers, we've got counselors, we've got social workers, educators, lunchroom person, it's about relationships. And the more you can have, and those are genuine, those are authentic. It's about caring, and somebody's in your corner. It provides those A's: awareness, access, accountability. It doesn't eliminate it, but what it does is also makes it something that people are aware of the needs of somebody else. So my big thing is just build rapport and build relationships with people. There's a lot of young people, a lot of adults out there that don't have those relationships, and it's not because they don't want them. Sometimes it's just that maybe I'm mainstream, or maybe not somebody that is in your circle. Well, we need to go outside of our circle. Everybody is entitled and deserves that to have that. So the biggest thing for me is relationships, and that's, I think that's not the end for all, but once people are aware, they know where they can get help. They know find somebody else that can find a resource that would be the need for somebody. So I'm appreciative of teachers. I'm appreciative of coaches. I'm appreciative of, those people in the field. But they're overwhelmed a little bit right now because of those needs. We step up and also support.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you said there. Relationships are huge because I'd imagine most of us can look back and think of those few teachers, I've talked about it before, but Terry Cotto is not highest today. He used to be at my old school, just a great guy. You knew you could talk more things. So maybe I won't go to anything, but trust nonetheless. Even teachers, I wasn't a big choir teacher. Just Hampton. She was a great person too. And like you said, just having those people you trust, especially when you're younger, I think that is huge. And we're going to have a couple of scholars on here as well. Next segment. So again, if you guys want to join the show, 402-464-5685. We got a little bit of time. Go ahead and lay out what we have ahead.
Got a couple things, but also just wanted a huge volleyball. This has been a huge. Knowing the ticket, and honestly, I've got some personal skin in the game, so I know Rico. I was watching Rico online. A couple people. I can't get tickets. For the state as a whole, selling out in basically less than 3 days, 80,000 some seats to the volleyball game at Memorial Stadium, which is going to feature the Huskers and University of Omaha, University, and then the other end, Wayne State and University of Nebraska Kearney. So my vested in, I was Rico, it was Kearney. My daughter's going to be actually playing. She graduates this Saturday, and then she'll be going to Kearney to do her collegiate year and work on her graduate work. And so we got our tickets, West the season ticket holders, so we got some on Tuesday, and then some Wednesday. So, just excited about that, but that just is going to be a really, really cool experience. And then you saw them go to Central City. The Huskers play yesterday in a suite with 2,000 plus individuals with tickets sold out in an hour. So that's cool. I'm gonna be honest. We're kind of excited just to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I think it's. I like what Albert says. Just credit to Nebraska too, because all those people that bought tickets. It's like, a lot of Huskers fans, a lot of them are just volleyball fans, and
it's just people that want to see the experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Interested to see who the concert is. I don't know. I put out New Edition and Keith Sweat, so I'm hoping that maybe one of those two for the Raptors. But with that said, talking about kind of just coming up, we've got two amazing individuals, and I don't say that lightly, that are going to be sharing with us. We've got Emily, who is from Southwest High School. And I keep bringing people in here. I think they want to take people's jobs. She's heavy into journalism and mass media, and just engages and gives her time within the community. It's not just Southwest community, but she does so much more. And so I'll let her share on that. And then we got Gabriel, and he is an individual, does the same. He goes to East High School. Became aware of him at junior high. And got the Frozen shirt, rocking the Frozen shirt on there. He'll have to tell you a little story about. He said one of the characters was a little scary in the live version. So, but again, just gives not only to others, but as himself is taking advantage of opportunities. And so, I love the fact of this platform. And I thank DP, I thank you, and I thank the others providing the space for them to just share what their purpose is, but also give that insight and perspective to others. And so excited for them to kind of pour goodness into people.
Yeah, lucky. This, especially the young you are, advice is a lot clearer. For whatever reason, it's just like it's more direct, it's more on it. And I feel like you get like things. It's good to kind of hear those voices. We all remember what we were like in high school, and we kind of forget about that sometimes. So it's good to hear these stories and good to kind of see what the youth is up to, because again, that is the future right there. So you want everyone to be taken care of well, and hearing those stories, it's uplifting. I know, especially today, things seem really crazy. You tune into bigger than sport, you feel a little better. You feel like the world's not spinning in chaos. So we got great stories ahead. And again, you guys can join the show anytime through our streams, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo Channel 951 as well. And we'll have these scholars on the next segment. This is Bigger Than the Problem, Harrison Ards, and that's Pete Ferguson. We'll be back right after this break.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL and drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture is not a job, but a career. Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today. Great culture at Gaina Trucking. For more, apply today at DanaTrucking.com. Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
See, if you remember what happened last time, what happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And
My chicken condo went haywire.
that's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at British Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric. 402-217-3415. Online at ambitionelectric.com.
There's nothing quite Mercado by certified TCP. Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else. Open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full retail store is wonderful convenient with their exclusive certified TCP and assorted sausages, plus other quality, including chicken, wide range of fresh. Plus, every Friday from 2 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today, or the Havelock, or visit their website, cpmercado.com, to see current deals.
If there's any drinking, I want you to say, no thanks, not my thing. Mom, I'll miss you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you grab a toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.sabsits.com. Public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Sponsored by DHS and Air Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Came to the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how to love at nolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Labels and the Ad Council.
Hi, Sean Callahan here at HuskerOnline.com, and inviting you to join us here on 93 every Saturday morning now on our new from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online show, radio show, latest, give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball. We'll probably share a few stories from the inside every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 p.m.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice the 16-year-old first presented at the Health Feed Little Sisters? Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry because their kids in at dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every activity not to make friends but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am one of the Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass every day but never leave hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Dance. It's a great way to make the home kids first. I hold my hands up like we're on the steering wheel. I was going on my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Brought to you by the U.S. First and the
Pop, why can we telegraph our horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the stallion. Ran right into this. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopRights.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Bigger than the score with Dino Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools.
on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to 92.7 The Ticket, bigger than the score. Ferguson, VHS LLC, and back here with Harrison on the board. And glad to have you here. We're getting ready to turn over the segment. But again, if you want to be part of the show, Harrison, how can they go ahead and tune in?
Yeah, we are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, as well as our Allo channel 951, our new partner. And again, Sutter Haven text line 402-464-5685. Plenty of ways to reach the show here and interact. If you want to put a face to the voice, those streams or Allo are your best bet.
Awesome. Well, hey, we're joined here by two scholars, area scholars. I introduced them before the break, but Emily and Gabriel, how y'all doing?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Well, hey, we're going to get right into it. So first off, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, your purpose, and then kind of your journey. Have you always lived here in Lincoln? So Emily, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm a senior at Southwest. My purpose is to share the stories of others and my own and the impact that they have on our actions and on our words. And yeah, I go to Southwest High School. I've been there for all 4 years of high school, but before that, I lived in Ashland, Nebraska.
Okay.
So really small town. I went to elementary school there, really small elementary school. There's like 70 kids total in my grade. Middle school and the middle school and high school were actually attached since we were like so small. But yeah, that's where I went to for anything before high school. I moved to Lincoln like 3 days before my freshman year started.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah.
So how was that? Like coming in, and all of a sudden, like 3 days to any of the 8th grade and 9th grade orientation. Did you know of the school before coming, or?
I sort of, because the way that it happened was like it ended at Ashland, and we went on vacation to Mexico to visit my family.
Okay.
And usually when I go, it's the whole summer. And we came back like a few days right before school started. And I knew that I was going to go to Southwest. Like the day after like we landed back in Nebraska, I had to go to the school and set up my schedule because I didn't even know what classes I was going to take or anything. And so like I met with like my counselor. We set up my schedule and everything. And I remember I was in marching band freshman year. And she was like, okay, so you missed like band camp. You missed all of this stuff. But like, have fun.
Basically, she was like, good luck.
Yeah.
What do you plan on playing? I plan on being the drum major. They're like, no. Listen, fantastic. Well, hey, we'll want to hear a little bit more about you, Bernie. But Gabriel, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm a sophomore at East High School. My purpose is to be vocal. That's what I recently changed that, but to be vocal. And for my educational journey, I've been to East for 2 years of high school. I don't plan on moving high schools. And I've stayed in Lincoln my whole life. So I went to Lux Middle School all 3 years, and then Maxey Elementary School all 6 years. Yeah. And I mean, those schools, they aren't very diverse. So I hadn't had a lot of exposure to diversity up until about late middle school, early high school. And yeah, I feel like there could be a lot more there, but experience living in Lincoln Public Schools.
So no random going from like I don't even remember how many people are in Ashland, but landing the plane, getting off, and then going into the school with 2,000 people.
Yeah,
and being kind of like shell shock, because I know Lux is full as it itself. So no, well, it's exciting on a lot of ways. Who's in your family? Who do you want to kind of give a little bit of a shout out to, and what makes up your grouping?
Yeah, so right now I know my mom is listening in right now.
Okay, always important. Harrison and I are always saying we don't want moms coming in here being like, "Hey, I got left out of the mix." So, who's your mom? Give her name and give a shout out to her.
My mom she's Colleen Blanchard. She is my biggest supporter, and I think we're each other's #1 fans.
Awesome.
I love my mom very much. She's been there for my whole life, and she's always been a great support for me to lean on. And I mean, she's always been there to support me. Everything I want to do, she's like, do it. I don't think there's a reason you shouldn't try to do it. She's always encouraging me to do better and encouraging me to be the best person I can be.
Awesome. And anybody else you want to shout out to?
I'd also like to say like my dad's household over there, because I mean, they've always been there. They've always taught me that home isn't where you're living, it's where your family is.
Oh, powerful.
And I really learned that a couple years ago when we first moved out of my house that I'd lived in all of elementary school and up until middle school. When we first moved out, it was a hard move, and I mean, after that, we had been probably moving about a year, so it's been a very lifestyle, I'd say, but stayed in Lincoln.
Thank you. Awesome. Emily, what about you?
I got a big family.
Okay,
man. Like,
okay.
even like extended, we're all very close, you know? Like I have like my parents, and then I have my younger brother and my older sister. Then, I have my grandparents, I have my aunts, I got my uncles, my cousins, since we all like grew up together and we're always with our family, like they're all my biggest supporters, even if they don't understand what I'm doing, like I'll tell them like, oh, I told them, I was like, I'm gonna be on like a radio show with like Pete Ferguson, who does big stuff with me, and like the Equity Cadre and all of this stuff. And they're like, okay, have fun. Like, even if they don't
You should have said
understand.
Harrison. I'm going to Harrison. Oh, we know Harrison. I'm like, we know him. Yeah. I don't know who Pete is, but Harrison, we know exactly
Yeah.
where you're going.
Yeah, no, they understand what I'm doing, but they know that so they're like, you know what? Good for have fun and do what you need to do.
And that's some good stuff right there. So, Emily, we know that I keep telling Harrison like every week, and it's not by any chance. I just happen when I start identifying individuals I think would be good, that I'm bringing in people that want to take their job. And so you're really heavily involved in editor-in-chief over with the multimedia with Miss Brandy Benson and over at Southwest High School. And, I looked up, you've got a lot of things that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about your role there and how you got interested in that.
Yeah, so I really started off with like journalism, with a mass media class at Southwest my sophomore year, where I just got randomly thrown in by my counselor. She was like, "You'll like this," and I put me in.
She's like, that's the classes left.
Yeah.
No,
And then I took it, and I did like it. It was COVID year, so there was half of us on Zoom, and half of us not. There was only one other girl in the class with me.
Wow.
But like we kind of like Benson pretty much just like forced us to do so much different types of media. Like we did stuff with broadcast, we did podcasts, we did news stories, we did opinion columns, we did all this stuff, and I just fell in with like telling stories. And so then we started making our magazines. We use like InDesign, Adobe InDesign to like design our layouts, and then write the stories ourselves, like all sorts of stories. As editor-in-chief, this year I decided, what, if we're gonna make a magazine, I want to do it to combine my passion being journalism, but then also equity. So we made our magazine focusing on equity with different stories, highlighting different students who don't always get highlighted, marginalized students who feel like they're represented. We wanted to create a piece of media that would make them feel represented. And then also, anyone could pick this like magazine up and then, empathize with these students, with these stories, with these experiences, And so, I've gotten involved with journalism. I'm going to study it for college. I'm going to get my bachelor's in journalism, and I think it's just, stories really do tell a lot, and I think being in this position at Southwest with journalism has helped me able to tell stories that I think really do matter, not only for the people who those stories belong to, but to others to really hear that and understand the impact that can have on them.
Well, and I think it's powerful when you talk about bringing the voices. Oftentimes we talk about underrepresented and marginalized voices, but I always tell people there's nothing marginal about an individual. Oftentimes those individuals who think are underrepresented are oftentimes they're not underrepresented. It's just a misnomer that they are. So tell us, before we get to Gabriel, what's one of the stories that just stood out to you? You told us some stories about it, one person prior, and we were kind of blown away by it. But in your time at Southwest, like what's one story that you've written about that you're like, man, that stuck with me?
I think there's so many, just because I've heard so many stories. Right. But I think one of the big ones that stood out to me was because I got to know this student this year, Kevin Patterson, phenomenal student. But he was in accident. He suffered a brain injury. Had to relearn how to write, how to walk, how to speak, and just to see him grow so much. Like I would help him out because I had an off third block. He was with Benson in photojournalism. Okay. But like he couldn't keep up with the rest of the class sometimes, like he was a little behind. So I would sit with him and I would help him out. And he just cracked me up like all the time. He was so funny. I mean, he really became like a really good friend of mine. And I ended up writing a story about him and pretty much just like his unique experience in high school. Because you see, like he would take anytime I would go into the hallway, I would see him. He was just roaming the hallways because he would have to take breaks since he couldn't be sitting down. A lot of times he needed to get that blood flowing. So like he would like take breaks, walk around, and like I think where others would be discouraged having to relearn so much and having to feel like they are like falling behind the rest of their peers. He really just he took all of that weight that someone sees as a burden, and he just like took it with such a stride. He was so his story is just so powerful just because he's like, you know what? Others might think that I'm falling behind, but I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna put in the work, and I'm gonna graduate high school, and I'm gonna become a barber because that's what he wants to do. And like,
I wish I could use them. I'm still gonna go to him.
yeah, and like you see, how he's other people might think of him as less than. He's like, no, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be getting my education. I deserve to be in the classroom, and I really deserve to be able to put my best foot forward. And he does it every day. And just to hear him speak about it is just amazing, and it's so uplifting to see like a person who's been through so much still smile and laugh every day, make you feel like you're the best person ever. Just hearing his story has really made me feel grateful, but then also feel like, you know what, I should put in more work too, because if he can do it, so can I.
Wow. And I think about that impact that small actions become a huge impact
Yeah.
on individuals. So thanks for sharing that story. We're over here like nodding and like, okay, wow, that's fantastic. I'm still on the barber thing a little bit. But,
I'm not far behind
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'm sure you look over the table. I'm not too
I'm
far
looking
behind.
at that back O-ring on Harrison's head to see how many years he has left. Gabriel, so talk about, Emily shared a little bit about like what has gone on and the things that have impacted her at school. You've been at Lincoln East for 2 years. What has that environment been like? You've been doing things, equipments. What else are you doing? How impacted your growth?
So I'm a musician, so I really like to perform.
Okay,
And
okay.
so one of the main things that has kept me really enjoying Lincoln East is the marching band, because we have such a huge marching band that it's really like a massive family. So everybody's a part of it. Everybody works together to produce a show each year. It's a lot of fun. I went out for drum maker earlier this year. We don't have the results yet, so
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Good luck. Good
Yeah,
luck.
thanks. And it's just been a lot of fun. And I've been on drumline freshman and sophomore year. That's a lot of fun because we really get to hype up the band and hype up the audience at the football games. And also, I've really enjoyed playing in the Lincoln Youth Symphony. That's a lot of fun too. Just listening to all the really talented musicians there performing while I'm waiting to play on a song, because percussionists aren't always needed in the songs. And also just getting to be a part of that is a lot of fun, and it's really something. It's really fulfilling. So, I mean, playing classical music.
Well, the person didn't know, like I battled last year as clarinet for 3 straight years. So I held that down. Nobody took it from me. There was some stuff in about 7th grade, but I maintained last year. That's not an honor for those of y'all listening are like, he's really good. No, that means you're really bad. That means you don't get to play during the concert. They take the little wood, the reed. That means the band teacher takes the reed from you and says, I'm just giving you the instrument, but don't you blow. So you talked a little bit about just your purpose and having a voice. And I want to get into that a little bit. And what is, what areas are you doing that? And why is that important to you? And then kind of Emily, same thing. Why is that important to others?
Yeah, so I feel like my main area that I really get to use my voice is provided by you, the equity cadre. I really like to use all the opportunities that I can get out of that. So that means like just you've provided opportunities like not advertising, but showcasing the student vote ambassador.
Right.
Yeah, so I got to be a part of that because you provided that opportunity for us cadre members, and I was selected to be an ambassador for Student Vote, and I felt like that was a great platform to really learn a lot about voting, promote voting, and really enjoy encouraging students to really learn about the voting process so that we can have educated voters once we come of age. Also, just using my voice even in the classroom. I'm very vocal in the classroom. I like to raise my hand and ask questions and
Notice
answer
Scholars, he said
questions.
raise his hand. So we are promoting get best practices for you educators out there. They were like, "Oh, we got talking here. He's on the radio," and now they think he said raise his hand and then provide his thoughts. So
Yeah, and I really feel like getting my voice out there is one of the ways that a lot of the equity work is going to get done. Also, just making people aware of the kind of things that we're doing in the equity cadre. So I have a lot of friends that are like, "Yo, Gabe, what did you do in the equity cadre this week?" And I explained to them what we did, and they're like, "That is," I'm like, "I know it's really cool, and I'm really grateful that I have this space to speak in because not a lot of students get that."
well, and you keep talking about provide experience. I always say that you have taken advantage of the opportunities of those doors that have opened for you, and I think that's important. So I want to, when we come back from break, I want you all to share a little bit more on perspective advice that you have, but also, Emily, how do you put your voice out there for others as well? You're on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson. We'll be back right after this short messages.
The Butchery by Venue is Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality of Venue home with you with our handcrafted burgers and local offerings. Browse a selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences. Cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today. Located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your. Oh, hold on. Video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Public schools are the cornerstones of our communities, and it's communities that ensure students have great public schools. I'm Jetty Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Learning happens at home, in school, and everywhere in between. We all have a role to play in supporting student learning in the classroom and beyond. Help us make this the best school year yet.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this nation.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
Their clothes,
Their age,
learn why hunger in America. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Bank Strong, and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by AdoptKids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
I get it, slip, cuff it, check it, slip on and before that. I get it. Cuff it, check it, and share it too. You as adults have high blood. Why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy to remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources Administration.
Why can't we tell a group while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tapping away at his telephone. Blam! Ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, Jeffro can't do it. Neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org.
A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. You and your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scotts Bluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent medical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, paired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
It was one of my biggest honors to be able to take a picture with my best coaches that I will always remember for the rest of my life, Coach Sobers and Coach Osborne. The fact that we honor Coach Sobers by naming the locker room after him, man, the atmosphere was amazing. For us to honor Coach Sobers as a player, coach, as an assistant coach, and as a head coach, whoever made that decision, whether that was Trev, they got to take my hat off to them. They're paying homage to the people who paved the way.
When you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back to The Score with Peter Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Awesome. Welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Score. This is Peter Ferguson, Peter BHS LLC at Lincoln Public Schools, and joined on the board with by Harrison. We have had two phenomenal individuals. We're going to kind of keep it rolling with Gabriel. I'm up here getting all tongue-tied. He got the Frozen shirt on and everything. and Emily, we were in a real in-depth conversation. So, Emily, one of the things that you had on your profile that I saw was that you like to use a 0.7 millimeter flat tip pen. Give us some light on what's the importance of that?
I don't even know how it started. Whenever we'd edit stories in mass media, like a news story, we would all use like those same types of like flare pens, like felt tip ones.
Okay.
We would just all use that pen, and they're so smooth and they're so nice to write with. I love them so much. Like on my desk, I have like a little bucket full of like 20 of them, and like all different colors. And I'm like, you know what? Today I'm feeling purple, and I'll write with purple. And it just makes me feel so efficient. I love them.
This is the deal. We know what we're getting for graduation right now. Right? Graduating in May, we're going ahead and getting you an endless supply, at least for a year, from 93.7 The Ticket, those 0.7 felt flat tip pens. Hey, as we left, we were talking a little bit about putting your voice out there and what that looks like. Tell us, like, how, you talked about your purpose, and if you'd be willing to share that again, and then just how have you applied that during your life, but also during your years in high school?
Yeah, so my purpose again is to share stories of others and my own and the impact that they have on our ads and on our words. And I feel like I've always been a very outspoken person, I think, in like anything, like especially when it comes to regards to equity, because growing up I was pretty shy. But when someone would say something, I was like, oh, that's mean. I would say something. And people would be like, oh, she's mad. You better watch her. She's mad. She never talks. She's talking now. And I've always been very outspoken, I think, especially just because, like, given where I grew up, for elementary and middle school, there was not a lot of diversity. And so, like, my family was the only Latino family in that town, the entire town sometimes. And so I always felt like I had to speak up for myself, in that way. And I think that transferred over into high school, where I've always been willing to, speak up for myself, speak up for others, speak up for my views. Like, when my teachers told me, be loud with everything you do, especially if you believe in it. And so I've always been loud with my story. And so then I think that same teacher, Benson, she pretty much told me, you're so open about sharing your story. Why not share the stories of others as well? Just because when I share my story, it makes me story and seeing, how it can help me connect others and help them. You know what? Maybe think what I've said and be more kind, more open-minded. And if my story can do that to like a stranger, what can the stories of others do to even more people, you know? And so I like to like share the stories of others, like through journalism, I've been able to do that. You know, and just being in spaces like with the Equity Cadre, in Thai Club at my school, Teens and Thinking Equity, like being in those spaces, being able to set up areas to share stories. I think stories can really connect people, and that's how we can make change. Once people have a personal connection to an issue, they are much more motivated to make change, and all it takes is a story, you know?
And you've told some things that have personally occurred to you when you say like once people have a connection to that, they can make a change. One of the simple ones is you did a module, you supported some work in educating, our staff, and you oftentimes you told a story about the impact of something really simple, but the huge impact it made was your name. And can you maybe share a little bit about that and what is your name, and then how can that not pronouncing it right and not saying it right impacted you, and how do you ask people to make that change?
Yeah, so, well, my full name is a little different. Well, my legal name is Emily Chaires, but my full name is a little different. My full name is Emily Chaires Hernandez Ortiz Gonzalez Insulza Marquez Games Torres Quintero Gutierrez Becerra Marquez Morales. That's my whole, going back generations in my family, we keep track of our last names. That's my full name. And I've always been proud of my name, just because, I mean, it's who I am, it's who my ancestors were, and I love it, you know? It's a huge part of who I am. But growing up, again, because I grew up in spaces where there wasn't a lot of diversity, there were hardly other Latino people around me. No one ever said my name right, you know? It was always like Emily Chaidez, Emily Cherez, Cherez, like something that's just not right. And I'm like, when you say that, you're calling out for a different person because that ain't me. That's not me, you know? And so like I like it when people make an effort to be like, how to say that again? How do I say it? And I understand like some people can't roll their R's, but that's okay because I appreciate when people make the effort to, say my name because it's who I am. I feel connected to my name. There's a reason why I wear a necklace that says my name on it, you know? It's who I am and I'm very connected to it. And when people don't say it, it's almost offensive, especially if I say like, hey, can you say it's actually pronounced Chaires? Some people are like, oh, I can't say that. That's too hard. Or people will just look at it and say, I can't do that. I had a sub say to me once, this is too ethnic. I'm not going to say it. And no, I am not too much of anything. I'm just enough. And like, I think like one of the first stories that I ever wrote for our school's newspaper was the importance of saying names because that's who a person is. If you don't say their name, you're ignoring a piece of who that person is, And so it's important to recognize who a person is as a whole, and that starts with name, And I've always felt connected to my name, and other people do as well. So I think it's important to, practice saying someone else's name. People who I don't know how to say their name, and I'm like, I would say it. How would you say it? Or people will Americanize their names to make it easier for others. And I hear it, and I'm like, is that really how you pronounce it? How should I be saying your name? Because I want to say your name, not an easier version. And I think even doing it to other people, like it makes their day sometimes, People feel so happy when you say their name because it's who they are. When you're acknowledging who they are, people feel more comfortable around you.
And I love how you share that. And I was listening earlier in the week, and they make fun of Nick, I believe, because he says he can't say Creighton. I never listen myself, so we won't ask him to pronounce anything. I say you all make fun of me all the time because I say like garage and Chipotle, and I can't like I'm a heart darn mess. But I really appreciate you sharing that because I think we always want that. How do we take away and learn, but not just do better, but be better. On that. As we kind of roll into things, tell us about some mentors that you've had in your life, and just what does that look like for you?
So some mentors, I'd say most definitely my mom is one of my mentors. She's been there my whole life and supporting me and guiding me through life in all of its challenges. I also say recently this year, my therapist has been a real good mentor. One of the things that's really stuck with me of what she's told me that's really helped me stay emotionally strong and secure is don't let the actions of others determine how your life is going to be. So allow or be in control of your own emotions. So if somebody does something to try to harm you, try your best to not let that harm you and let yourself dictate how your life is led. Um, Nobody in control of your life but yourself. And I feel like that also plays a lot into insecurities. If you allow other people to control your life, like if you allow people on social media to control how you see yourself, then you're going to be insecure. So really take control of your life and don't let others lead it. Um, so she's been a real great mentor for me. I mean, she's just my therapist, but that also can go way beyond the title. Um, and you know, I'd also say probably you have been one of my mentors because you have really taught me a lot about equity and really sparked my passion in equity. When I first came into that room, I think it was back in August of 2021 or 2022. I honestly didn't really know what, um, and I did not have the right mindset when I walked into that room. But that mindset was put into me, my passion for equity, and I want more than anything right now for my friends and everyone of diversity to just live in a way that they can have the same experience that we have, or that anybody has. Like everybody should be receiving the same, or not necessarily the same, but the same value of their educational pathway so that they can be just as successful as anyone else.
I loved how you defined that because I was just going to ask you to define that, but you said receiving that same educational value to achieve success. And so definitely appreciate that. As we ask both of you, just, what is a piece of advice that you would have for adults? You talked about you're involved with Student Vote, and we have an election here on the 2nd. So if I can say something, I encourage everybody to go out and participate in that opportunity. But what's a piece of advice that you would have for adults moving forward?
I would definitely say children have a voice. Like we are not just we have our own minds. We can think for ourselves, especially with the way social media has worked throughout these years. Everybody has been able to really connect each other to different ideas very quickly. So it's really, really disrespectful when somebody says, "Oh, you don't have a voice because you're a child," or "Oh, that's not valued because you're a child." I really hate it when people belittle me just because of my age. I know what I think, and I'm strong in my beliefs. I research just like any other person. Honestly, I feel like students nowadays do more research than some of the adults voting out there, and we don't even have voting
without
rights.
question. You got your
Yeah.
doctorates, yes.
So listen to the youth because we have our own opinions and we're out here. We are the ones that are going to be leading the country in a couple of years. So make sure that you give us like a foundation. We don't have to build that on our own.
Awesome. Piece of advice from you to let's go with the adults right now.
I think my best piece of advice would be to engage always with all people, I think. Just because like growing up a lot, we were taught, if you see someone who's different, don't point them out. Don't look. That sort of thing. Like we're like, oh, let's not look at it, let's not talk or let's not have this conversation if something or someone is different. But I think when you do that, you can ignore a big problem. Like I know the clearest example I can think of this is like if you're just like walking down the street and you see someone like in a wheelchair, you're just gonna be like, oh, I shouldn't look. I don't want them to think I'm making fun of them. I'm just gonna look away. I'm not gonna point them out. But then you're ignoring someone's entire existence when you're just like trying to not cause a scene because you're scared that you're gonna mess up. But I think even just smiling at someone can make their day. Like, why would you not want to at least try to make that connection with someone? So don't look away from people. Like, avoid a conversation just because you're unfamiliar topic. Engage so that you can learn. Because if you are silent, you can't really gain much from an experience. But if you're loud, if you're engaging, if you're just starting to make a connection, that's how you can really make a change. I feel.
I love how you talk about be comfortable being uncomfortable is something
Yeah.
we always oftentimes say. So tell us real quick, what's your future plans?
I'm gonna be going to UNL to study journalism.
Okay, and what do you look forward to in the future?
I really hope I can study at Georgia Tech aerospace engineering so I can move on to NASA.
Awesome. Hey, I really do appreciate both of you for pouring into us. Those graduation pins are on their way, so we're going to make sure we those. We always end 90 bigger than the score with a quote that Maya Angelou said: "Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you're better, do better." With that being said, thank you for listening to Bigger Than the Score on 93.7 The Ticket. Have a great week and do better.